Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Wherever you find American troops today, you'll find the men of the Transportation Corps. Enough and on time. That's the story we tell you today. The story of the Army Quartermaster Corps.
These youthful servicemen are members of the Army's Military Police Corps.
One of the most important forces behind the lines, the Army Ordnance Corps.
Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. I am Sergeant First Class Adam Ross, Public Affairs NCOIC for 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command. And on today's episode, we are welcoming one of our partner units who are here right in Camp Henry, Republic of Korea, one of our neighbors. And today on the show is Colonel Lisa Rennard, the commander of 403rd Army Field Support Brigade. Welcome, ma'am, to the show.
Well, it's great to be here.
And you just made a short walk over from your office. It's hard to believe you're really just around the corner, basically.
Yes, just a few hundred meters.
Okay. Well, it's not often that we get to have someone on with a different patch than ours, so that's good. Let's start off with what brought you to the Army, ma'am. You've made a successful career out of it. Do you still remember the when you made the decision to sign on the dotted line?
I do. I remember that pretty clearly. So 23 years in the Army thus far. And what kind of brought me to the Army is I was graduating from college, from the University of Houston, and wanted to serve in the criminal justice field, so go in the FBI. But I just happened to meet some of my fellow marching band members who were in uniform. And I said, what organization are you in? So I found out about the ROTC program at the University of Houston. Signed up for the summer camp training and just fell in love with the Army and everything about the Army. Once I came back, did the 2-year program and was commissioned in May of 1998 as an Ordnance Corps officer.
And so you were in the marching band. I heard that. So
yes,
can
yes.
you expand on that a little bit?
So I've played the drums since the 6th grade, since middle school. So I'm a percussionist by trade. And so I played the bass drum, top bass drum, and also the snare drum in the marching band. Okay. Both high school and college.
Oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you still have a drum set or anything in the house? Or?
I do, but it's currently still in storage and packaged up. But I did go over to the Community Activity Center here recently with the children and played a few rounds on the drum set there.
Yeah, one of our earliest guests, Colonel No, the former MSCK commander, he's an avid drummer who actually did have a full drum set here in Korea. He brought over.
I know Chris No pretty well, so we happened to change company command and battalion command together, so we've been following each other across around the Army.
Okay, and he just went to the Pentagon, and you came from the Pentagon.
Yes, that's right.
So, so you commissioned as an ordnance officer, and so you've been in the kind of the sustainment career field for quite a while then, and one of your earliest assignments actually was here in Korea.
Yes, I was a young captain prior to company command. I came over to Korea in 2003 and served as a Brigade S4 officer at Camp Humphreys. So I'm no stranger to Korea. This is my 3rd tour.
And Camp Humphreys in 2003. So what is it like for you now when you go back there and you see what it's become?
Back in 2003, it was a small little camp. You could do your, around the airfield and you pretty much could see the entire installation. But today it's just amazing. The space, the length and the capabilities and all of the amenities that are there for the families. It's just really amazing. So it's grown significantly.
Yeah, the housing is really what struck me. It's really changed. They have all these towers open now. My first time there, I think they were building the very first tower. It feels like a city now. And so 403rd is kind of integral to this day-to-day Army life and across the peninsula. So you were at Camp Carroll and then Camp Humphreys. Now you're here in Camp Henry with 403rd. And so what can you tell me about what 403rd AFSB does, ma'am.
Okay, so the 403rd Army Field Support Brigade is a strategic sustainment unit that provides tactical to strategic sustainment in Northeast Asia. So we support the warfighter with all things readiness, and we bring all of the capabilities of U.S. Army Material Command to the warfighter. And our area responsibility encompasses the Korean Peninsula, mainland Japan, and the island of Okinawa.
So when you say Northeast Asia, you really mean all of Northeast Asia.
Yes.
We just had, I think this episode, when we listening to this episode may not have come out, we talked to one of our Marine counterparts, Colonel Burke, who came over here from Okinawa. So it's just we're all on the same team here, working toward that. What can you tell me about what that mean? You have an example of that, of how you support the warfighter every day. What does that mean in practical terms, ma'am?
Right. So we have 2 battalions. One battalion is Army Field Support Battalion Korea, and it's commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Christina Rivas, and they are all things readiness. So they provide the logistics assistance representatives. So if you've ever heard of LARS out in the field, they provide all that technical expertise on equipment to the soldiers out at the range, in their motor pools, from satellites to an M1 tank. So that's one portion of our mission there. She also oversees all of the fieldings for 8th Army. So as the Army starts to modernize, we gain new equipment. That battalion oversees all of the fieldings for 8th Army. And then she also has all of that installation support for Camp Humphreys, so to support 39,000 personnel. So that battalion also oversees the household goods mission there, the new Central Issue Facility, the CIF, the Commercial Travel Office, TMP, and NTV maintenance. So we do a lot of collaboration with the garrison as well. My other battalion is Army Field Support Battalion Northeast Asia, responsible for APS 4, which is Army Preposition Stocks 4. And Army Preposition Stocks are really stocks and equipment that are here, ready to support a contingency. So, soldiers fly in, they fall on the equipment, and they move out to their mission or their destination. So that's commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Edward Wu down at Camp Carroll. And then we have 4 logistics readiness centers, one on the island of Okinawa, one on mainland Japan, and then one up north supporting Camp Casey and Area 2, and then one in LRC Daegu right here in Area 4. They do all things supply, transportation, maintenance, and services for the garrisons. So as already mentioned, they run the CIF, personal property office, household goods, commercial travel office, the TMP. So when you go sign for your NTV, we're the folks that are behind the counter doing that. And so we work very closely with the garrison commanders in each of those respective areas.
And so the LRC, let's dig into that a little bit, ma'am. So they used to be called something else? Is it?
Yes, so they used to be considered part of the DOL. So back in the late 90s of a Department of Logistics, so on installation. So it was purely everything fell under the garrison and was overseen by the garrison commander. Really early, I think about the early 2000s, there was the DOLs went away, and so the logistics readiness centers were created, and so they actually fell under Army Material Command at that point. And so we have it's a partnership between the garrison and AMC when it comes to installation support.
Okay, and you have a significant civilian workforce then within your formation, is that right?
Yes, I would say about 90% is civilian. The brigade roughly has about 2,500 personnel, and it's comprised of DACs, military, Korean nationals, Japanese local nationals, KATUSAs, and KSCs. So I say we are a very diverse workforce, but that's what makes us great. And we really believe that our local nationals are the backbone of our organization, though. So yes, very heavy civilian population and also local nationals.
And what does that bring to your organization when you have potentially people with decades of experience doing their job? What does that bring?
It just brings the wealth of knowledge, the continuity, and just the subject matter expertise that we need to be able to do our mission. Some of our Korean nationals have been working with us 20, 25, 30 years, and in Japan as well. So they are great, with our alliances are so important, but they are the continuity for our mission.
And so for the soldier experience then, when you go back to when you were a captain, were, new in the Army, but you had surrounded by all these civilians you were working with. Do you think that kind of helped shape your philosophy in the your leadership skills going forward?
I think so. As a young captain, didn't have a lot of experience with civilians. I think more so as I moved up into a field grade, a major, and then definitely when I was a lieutenant colonel here at Camp Carroll, that was as a battalion commander of APS 4. That was the first time that I really had to oversee that many civilians. So what I tell the young captains coming into the brigade now, and those NCOs that have just coming out of the motor pool, this is a great experience for them. It's providing them a broadening experience. They bring the latest and greatest from the field and share it with the organization, and then the civilians have that continuity in how we do strategic logistics. So it's really good for them to learn earlier in their career versus later.
And staying on that strategic logistics topic, you are one of our 403rd is one of 19th ESC's partner units. So do you have any examples of how the two organizations work together?
Yes, so the 403rd is a strategic partner to 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command. So kind of similar to the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA. So we support 8th Army and USRJ, United States Army Japan. But during contingency operations, we are actually OPCON, or Operational Control, under the 19th ESC. So we work with the 403rd works with the 19th ESC to synchronize logistic support throughout the peninsula. So we provide, we work closely with the 19th ESC DMC, so the SPO operations section, when it comes to material readiness and for support to the warfighter. So we collaborate when it comes to readiness for equipment for 8th Army and for USRJ. We're always a part of the exercises that are conducted, as we're currently going to kick off a warfighter exercise here in support of 2ID. So we work closely with 19th ESC there. And then we also work closely when it comes to LOGCAP. So LOGCAP is a program that brings civilian contractors to the battlefield to be able to provide additional support out to the field. So we work closely with the 19th ESC when it comes to that as well.
And before you mentioned the fielding new equipment, so if any, you work closely with us because if any Army unit wants to receive new equipment, they have to work with 403rd, correct?
Yes, so we work closely with 8th Army with the fielding of all new equipment, but all of those customers have to work with us to be able to coordinate the location, date, and time to be able to receive the training on the new equipment, sign for the new equipment, and then, of course, from there they'll take it to their respective locations.
And recently, I think it was last month, the new shipment of JLTVs came to the peninsula. Was that kind of an exciting moment for 403rd?
Yes, it was. It was. So the Army Field Support Battalion, Korea, so Colonel Christina Rivas and her team executed the fielding of the JLTVs up in Camp Casey area. So it was a big success. Our tank and automotive command, senior command representatives that I have within the brigade also oversaw the operation, and we brought contractors from CONUS, about 35 or so, to be able to execute the fielding. And then we also had a big mission of harvesting all of the old communications equipment from the Humvees over to the new JLTVs. So that's still ongoing, but FLIMNet was conducted, all of the OpNet was conducted for the training for the soldiers, so they can be fully trained and start getting into the vehicles and moving out. And
did you get a chance to ride in one of them yourself, ma'am?
I am heading there next week, so planning to get up there and see the final week of the operation up there, and hopefully I'll get a chance to do that.
Yeah, it looks interesting design, the next generation of Army transportation. And so we mentioned your prior assignments here in Korea, ma'am. What went through your mind when you heard you'd be going back to Korea, this time as a brigade commander?
So I was surprised, before I left as a battalion commander, a few of the local nationals and Korean nationals said, "Oh, ma'am, you will be back, as the brigade commander." I said, "Oh, no, the Army probably has different plans for me." But when I returned and saw some of the same people, it was just amazing. It was almost similar to a homecoming. I came to the brigade and I saw some of the familiar faces, and it was good. It was great. I really enjoyed my time in Korea as a commander, as a battalion commander. So I know I would enjoy a second time here in command, and so it was, I could think I kind of had I could hit the ground running. So that was definitely a plus for me because I was already familiar with the organization.
And so you've been in command for almost 6 months now. So how would you look back on your first 6 months at 403rd?
It's good. We've been leveraging the momentum. We've made a lot of things happen in a short 5 months, executed many town halls, supervisor training, staff rides. I've issued our annual training guidance to all of our units. And we've been able to change up the battle rhythm to be able to kind of move the brigade forward. So it's been great. It's been exciting. I have a great partner, Command Sergeant Major Reeves, and we command the brigade together. And it's just, it's been a good experience, and we're moving forward.
And so how would you, I heard when you were on AFN, ma'am, you mentioned a kind of a mantra you have for leadership. Could you remind us what that is?
Well, for the vision for the brigade, so kind of our vision statement is that we're setting conditions in Northeast Asia to win. And so that's basically stating what that means, in regular, simple terms, is that we're completing all of our mission requirements, all of the tasks, so we can conduct our wartime mission at a very high proficiency. And so that's important here. Being on the Korean Peninsula, being in Northeast Asia, we have to be able to win on the battlefield. And if I want to break out the word win in caps, it's really warfighter focused, innovative in all we do, and nothing's impossible without a strong team. And so as like the Chief of the Staff of the Army, General McConville, says, winning matters. So we're focused on winning here in Northeast Asia.
Okay, excellent. And you, this is your second time with your family in Korea? Is that, or first?
Second time.
So we like to talk with our guests who bring their families here, just because a lot of people don't really, prospective Korea assignments don't really know what it's like over here. How, if you had to convince someone to take an assignment in Korea, maybe go after a command sponsorship, how would you sell them on that?
I think it's a great opportunity here to serve in South Korea with your family. Here in Area 4 especially, you kind of have that small town feel, safe, secure, but you also have the great city of Daegu here with lots to do and lots to experience. So bringing my children the second time, I have twin girls who are 7 years old. My husband's a retired officer as well, so they're in the local elementary school, which is great. They're in first grade, and we love the community here. They have a great here at Camp Walker, specifically wonderful gym, library, community activity center, a restaurant. So all the amenities you need to really have a good experience here in Korea. And we live on post, and with the new towers, especially for families, those towers are great. And they are brand new and fully furnished, and so it's a really good experience here. You don't, no need to worry about safety for your children or to run around the playgrounds here on post, but also have the luxury of being able to go out the gate, experience the culture, the Korean culture, the city of Daegu, and also Busan, which is about an hour and a half south of here. You've got the beach. So really, a great experience. You're able to work with our partners and allies, the Koreans, and also learn and get focused on your wartime mission here. So it that's what I've enjoyed about Korea, is that when you're here and you serve here, you have a focus, you're focused on your wartime mission and that proficiency, but you're still able to have that time with family and have them here with you for the 2 years.
Yeah, that's a part of it that I think a lot of people forget about, is that you're really experiencing your job differently than you would almost anywhere else in the world. You're doing it everything. You're not just training for it. You're oftentimes just really doing it. And so the 6 months in command we mentioned, ma'am, what are some of your goals for the rest of your time here?
Yes, so some of my enduring priorities for command is to really focus. I'm going to focus on the workforce, and that becomes all things professional development. So, as I already mentioned, we have a very diverse workforce. So I've already started monthly lunch and learn sessions where we have different topics, and it's kind of the first step towards professional development for our entire workforce. So we host that on Teams, and we can bring in the workforce from Japan and from Okinawa on a particular topic. So I believe that if we invest in the workforce, the mission is going to just continue to improve and get better. So that's a big priority. Also, it's to bring LOGCAP here to the Korean Peninsula. Right now, it's only for contingency operations, so we're trying to work through the USFK, 8th Army, and the ROC MND to eventually be able to get the logistics civilian augmentation program here to Korea. So I'm going to be working that over the next several years as well. And then also improving all things readiness, enabling readiness for 8th Army and USRJ. So whatever we can do to improve their operational readiness rates for their combat systems, and also to support them whatever they may need in order to execute their wartime mission. So those are my top three kind of enduring priorities.
And then before we go, ma'am, you mentioned earlier the new CIF on Humphreys. So for people who haven't been there yet, what is something they would notice about the new CIF on Humphreys compared to maybe the old one or your average CIF?
Oh, yes. So about a month ago, last month we did the ribbon cutting for the new Central Issue Facility, CIF, at Camp Humphreys, which is really, it was about 5 years in the making. And it's just a fabulous facility for our soldiers to experience. When they first come here to the peninsula, they have to draw all of their gear, and then of course when they leave, we'll see them as well when they turn everything in. But it's night and day compared to the old facility. I actually remember going through the old CIF when I was a captain, and it was the same one. Kwanzaa huts we had, and we had leaks and things that we had to deal with in that building for the last 30 years. So the workforce and the morale has improved greatly as well for our Korean nationals that work within the CIF. So I think it's a win-win across the board for our soldiers and also our workforce there. It's a great facility.
Well, good to hear it. And just want to thank you for coming by, ma'am. We'll continue to see you around Camp Henry. Now, hopefully our listeners know a little bit more about 403rd and about what you do over there. But thanks for coming by, ma'am.
Thank you.
And good luck the rest of your command.
Thank you so much. Powerhouse.
All right.